Hi there, it's me again. It's Laura from Off the Record. Welcome to this live. This live I've been very much looking forward to. It's with Dr. Dominique Thompson, who has been a student, a GP for nurse for students for 15 years, and she also got her own book and some TED Talks. So I'm really excited for her to join us today. So hi everybody that's joined us, hi there. Oh, brilliant. Hopefully Dr. Thompson should come and join us now. So hi there, welcome everybody. There's a few people there.
Hello.
How are you doing?
This is my first Instagram live, so I'm quite proud. I'm here.
It's very quick. You sort of sussed it out straight away. I mean,
just press the buttons.
Yeah. Well, technically we're 1 minute early.
That's fine. I like to be early. I can sit here quietly whilst you chat.
No, that was really nice. It's nice when technology goes smooth. Yesterday it didn't go smooth, and yeah. So we're just waiting for a few more people to join, and while we do that, I'll just quickly type in. Hi there, Faith. I'm just typing in a comment quickly. Do you have a mental health question? And then we'll get started. So I'm still not slick with making these all.
Don't ask me.
So thank you very much for joining us. There's a few more people joining us. Christy has joined us. So during this live, basically we've got 30 minutes with a GP. Some of the feedback that's come from our Instagram is questions around how do we deal with suicidal thoughts, and some other stuff around that was maybe more medical in terms of our mental health. And then you sort of approached us, you approached Liam, our comms manager, and I thought, well, what a great opportunity to answer some of those questions directly. So I've got a few questions. But as we're talking and as we're having a conversation, please do put in the comments any questions that you have that you would like a sort of a GP's opinion on, really. I'm going to ask, first of all, do you want to introduce yourself? Just say your name, pronouns, and a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, sure. So thank you again for having me here. I hope the IT holds. My name's Dominique Thompson, GP by background. My pronouns are she, her. And I spent about 20 years being a GP, most of that at the University of Bristol, some of that as head of department, and just looking after thousands of students over the years, young people, their friends, and basically every 10 minutes seeing another young person, which I love doing. And then about nearly 3 years ago, I stopped doing the clinical work and I decided to approach it in a slightly different way, because I was doing, so much mental health that I thought I might try giving talks and writing books and helping young people in other ways, basically. And I'm obviously happy to talk a bit more about those if it's helpful.
Brilliant, yeah. The book, How to Grow a Teenager, is that?
So I've written a book for parents called How to Grow a Grown-Up. But I've written, that's very much sort of aimed at parents, carers, what they need to know to understand the world young people live in now, what the pressures are for young people, why they might struggle, how you can help them to be, independent and well, and, all the things that parents need to know for now. For young people, I wrote a series of books just to show you, because they're quite small. A series of little books on anxiety, depression, how to go to uni basically is another one, how to deal with stuff when it goes wrong. That one's called Resourcefulness. And the fifth one in the series is coming out this autumn in September, and that one's called Stay Balanced. And although these are set at sort of being at university, they're suitable for anyone aged 16 to 25. And they pick a particular topic. So the Stay Balanced one is very much about how do we manage when we feel like coping with difficult behaviors, with difficult situations by behaviors that maybe are not so healthy for us? So how do we avoid, you know, drink, drugs, self-harm, risky behaviors, food issues? How do we substitute something more healthy for those very normal, understandable reactions to a difficult situation? So those are the books.
Brilliant, yeah, brilliant. I was going to say the book about how to, so I wasn't aware of the other books until just recently, but the book about how to grow a grown-up is something that we use quite a lot in my team, in my membership team, and we use it to help create some sort of discussion activities around mental health.
Fantastic.
So I really do recommend it. I find it very useful.
Thank you.
Which sort of brings us on to our first question, which is from a parent.
Okay.
So we got a question from Faith. So Faith, I've seen your question and I'll come back to that in a minute. But our first question from a parent is around that they basically said that teenagers sleep during lockdown has become really bad. So they're not going to bed until 2 a.m. And then that teenager's not waking up until after lunchtime. So do you have any sort of tips or advice for that parent that's struggling with their sort of teenager's sleep?
Yes, absolutely. So the first thing to say is that the studies are showing about 50% of people are struggling with their sleep in the current situation. So first of all, just to say, it's really quite common to have issues. However, and this is the interesting bit for me, I'm just going to give you a very quick bit of background first. There's an interesting fact, which is that toddlers and little ones are designed to sleep from about 7 p.m. at night for about 12 hours. And people over 25, so what we call the adult brain in terms of full biological development, so over 25, you're designed to sleep from about 11 at night for about 7.5 hours. But teenagers are designed to sleep from about 1 a.m. for 9 hours. Okay, so the first thing we have to accept is that the normal biological drive for teenagers, adolescents, is to sleep from about 1 in the morning. Okay, so 2 is probably a little bit late, but just a little bit, and they should be up by about 10:30. Okay, so that's to give you the normal. And what has happened is society has not been kind to young people and has made schools and all sorts of other things start when they should actually be asleep, biologically speaking. Now, there are lots of interesting evolutionary reasons why teenagers have a different sleep pattern, mainly to do with allowing them, as we all sat round the campfire in our caves millions of years ago, for teenagers to bond separately from the parents who are asleep and the babies who are asleep. So it's to allow young people to bond together. I am not saying that you should be bonding with all your mates at 1 in the morning, but that's where it comes from. So a parent who's struggling with this, try and encourage them to understand that it is good practice for them to go to bed and get up at the same time every day, but it would be normal for them to say, I actually don't feel sleepy till about 1. That's fair enough. And then try and make sure they're getting up by about 10:30, just because they actually need to be up when it's light and asleep when it's dark. So those are basic rules. If they're struggling to get up, the next thing to do is look at giving them reasons with them, developing reasons with them that they should get up. So having a purpose, a project, something to do every day, that's important for all of us, but teenagers and young people just as much as anyone else. And if you've taken away, you know, their schooling and their normal purpose in life, it's not that surprising that right now they are struggling a bit to get out of bed. Like, they're thinking, why should I bother? So there are lots of things they could be doing. We could go into ideas for what to do, and I've got some of those on my various socials and things. But the key thing is to have a purpose, a reason to get up, put your feet on the ground every day and get up and do stuff. And we all need that.
Brilliant. Yeah, I think that's really useful information. I think that idea about why our brains is sort of wired, I think that sort of stuff we don't hear enough of, and that information is power.
Yeah.
And then, yeah, the other thing I guess I would add is about the reward center. Yeah. So teenagers have a very active reward center. So when they get up at 10:30, try and really, as you said, try and really sort of get them to do a purpose or something to really activate that reward center.
Absolutely. Which would motivation. Yeah.
Yeah. Brilliant. I'm going to apologise. As you can hear, my child is screaming. She's missed her afternoon nap. So if you could hear that, I'm sorry about that.
Okay, it's fine.
My child doesn't like to sleep at all. Okay, not at all. So Faith just had a question, and she said, how do you help a teenager that's withdrawing and not engaging? How do you help them re-engage with you, with an adult?
Okay. Now, obviously, a lot of the stuff I'm saying is general. You have to remember, I'm not advising on individual people, but the key thing here may be around that young person being very much driven. Again, it's about design and evolution, to be bonding with their peers. Okay, the whole point of teenage life, adolescence, is to leave your family tribe, emotionally prepare for that leaving, and bond with your new tribe. And by tribe, I mean your peers, your mates, whatever you want to call them. So enforcing young people to be locked down and spend, you know, most of their time with their family, their parents, their brothers and sisters, goes against every evolutionary bone in their body. They want to be out there bonding to their new people. If the person asking the question is saying, I'm struggling because they don't want to spend time with me, I would say, first of all, okay, that's not that surprising. That's kind of normal. Teenagers want to spend time with their friends. So encourage them to connect with their friends and to have social contact, because social contact, social networks are what keep us well. They are probably the #1 thing for well-being. However, if what we're saying is that young person doesn't want to connect with anyone, they're withdrawing, they're in their room the whole time, that I would want to know a bit more about. I would want to look at, are they eating properly? Are they getting outside to exercise at all? Are they getting outdoors just for fresh air and vitamin D and all the rest of it? And how can we connect that young person to the networks they would normally want to be connected to? So their friends and people who see eye to eye with them, people who they're connected to. And, you know, as a parent, you will know best. You will know what is it they're into. Do you need to talk to them and say, look, you know, is there someone you could connect with on social media who's into the same stuff as you? Can you get them interested? What are they normally really interested in? And get them connected via that interest, whether it's like, okay, well, I don't know, say they're really into baking or really into politics, get them to look at that stuff and get back, you know, ease them in with something that they could be interested in. If what we're finally saying is they don't want to connect with their family, they don't want to connect with their friends, they've withdrawn completely, they actually probably need a more professional, an assessment or some sort of support to talk to them about what's going on for them. Because a lot of young people right now are feeling very worn down by this. They may be feeling a bit overwhelmed. They may feel, and we need to remind them, this is not going to be forever. Okay, none of us have ever been through anything like this before, but this is not forever. We do know that. And somebody asked, somebody said to me earlier, a mum who's got 2 little children who are in primary school, but they said to her, oh, mummy, when was the last lockdown? And that they hadn't fully understood that this does not happen. This is for all of us. And, you know, she realized they didn't realize this wasn't usual. So it's all of us are having to adapt, and it's important to keep reiterating, this is not forever. There will be an end in sight, but in the meantime, we need to keep each other going through those difficult times.
Yeah, brilliant. And I think that's the key. I think this, I was talking about it on the news last week with a report that this is not forever, but the reactions that you are having, withdrawing, not wanting to be, not like change your routine, not wanting to feel in, well, not feeling motivated, all those reactions are totally normal to be having, because we don't know how to respond to this situation. If you are, what I would say, if you are feeling isolated, if you are finding routine really hard, if you are feeling really lonely, Off the Record has set up a mentoring program specifically looking at those areas. So it's young people aged between 18 and 25, 18 to 25, sort of doing weekly video calls with other young people and teaching things. So teaching like ukulele or teaching sign language. Yes, really great peer support, just to help with that isolation, loneliness, boredom. So if you do want to access some support, you don't have to access counselling at Off the Record. There are other forms of support.
Brilliant.
Yeah, brilliant. And Jeff, someone just commented saying So it's normal to feel this way, and it's all new waters. Yes. Yeah.
It is. And I would just re-emphasize, uncertainty is something none of us are very good with. Okay, as humans, we want to know, right, what's happening, what am I doing next, what's going to happen next week. Okay, and we are currently immersed in a world of uncertainty, not just every day or every week, it's changing by the hour. Uncertainty breeds anxiety, and obviously we're all feeling more anxious. So I think it's really important to understand we are all feeling that, because that is the normal human emotion. When we don't know what's about to happen, we go into our sort of fight or flight, you know, I've got to be ready for anything all the time, and it's really stressful. So absolutely don't worry, if we're all there with you.
Brilliant, yeah, brilliant. So far we've covered a little bit about sleep, a little bit about withdrawal, a little bit about this uncertain time.
Yeah.
If you've got any questions, please do send them our way. So any questions around that so far, so any questions around sleep, withdrawal, uncertain times, routine, just shoot us some questions. The next question I do have is from a young person, and their question is, how do they manage suicidal thoughts during lockdown?
Okay. Really, really difficult. And I'm so glad they felt able to ask this question. I do think it can be helpful just to reassure, in a sense, to understand that we know that 1 in 5 people in the whole world at any one time in their life will at some point think about suicide. Okay, so 1 in 5 people, though you look around you through their life, at some point will have thought about this. So it's a relatively frequent experience in the human, you know, experience of life. So the first thing is to say you're not alone, and other people will understand what this feels like for you. Obviously your experience is unique, but other people will have been there. And then I want to underline that phrase, that you are not alone. There is help out there, and it will depend on you, that young person, how you want to get that help. Some people find things like safety plans really, really helpful. You can look them up, you can download a sort of template of them. I have some of them, like a template of them in my little books. Safety plans are brilliant. They're basically your one side of A4, or you can have an app that does it where you write in the things that will help you when you're feeling like this, and you can go through it bit by bit and put in some supportive phone numbers, people you could phone that are always supportive and non-judgmental. So remember to protect yourself by using safety plans if you haven't already got one. And the other thing is really important to talk to someone. So whilst I would say, yes, other people will have felt like this and you are not alone, don't just sort of sit on it and ignore it, or think, well, I've just got to put up with it. You know, that in itself doesn't mean you have to suffer. You are not alone, and you need to get the support that you want to. So you can, obviously there are you know, online support, whether it's websites and text organizations, and then of course there is always your GP. There are NHS services like the IAP services, as well as obviously brilliant charities like Off the Record. So there is loads out there. And depending on where you are and how you feel and your age, you know, you'll choose what's right for you in terms of getting the right kind of support. But I really want to emphasize, don't suffer and ignore it and think, oh, I just have to put up with this, or that this is a normal experience in that sense. You must talk to someone, and we are out here to help.
Yeah, brilliant. And I would just echo that. Suicidal thoughts is a way of us processing how to cope with difficult times. And often suicidal thoughts is just one way where our brains is processing, going, how do I cope? And during lockdown, that's going to be a stronger thought, because we don't know how to cope in this situation. Yeah. But that doesn't mean be on your own. That means actually go out and reach somebody and speak to somebody. There's a great app called Stay Alive, which is helps you create your own safety plan.
Yes, yes.
So I definitely recommend that. There's things like Papyrus and Shout, which are text services, so you can always use them.
And
then
always Samaritans, of course, as well. And
yeah, so some really great services out there. So don't sit on them on your own. And then I would also say find your own ways, in terms of like, find that song that you can really scream to when you're having them, or find some sort of creative outlet to help get those thoughts out.
Yeah.
Brilliant. Thank you. So that, and then of course, if any other questions around that, please do ask. We've got a comment which relates to another question that a young person sent to us around coping with sort of eating disorders during lockdown. And the comment that's come up is dealing with anorexia. So it says dealing with anorexia, trying to control you during meal times.
Yeah.
Do you have any advice around that?
I mean, obviously, eating disorders are a really complex area, really important to be dealt with the correct way, and quite hard to advise in a very general sense. I would say that for eating specific issues and support if things are particularly difficult at the moment, I know that the two big charities I'm aware of, Beat and Anorexia Bulimia Care, both have sections on their websites that currently are specifically about dealing with it in lockdown, dealing with it with coronavirus, dealing with worrying about rationing of food, dealing with all of these different feelings and behaviors and pressures that you might be feeling if you're already coping with you know, stress and worry around eating. So it's an area that I would say, look at the specific advice that's been written by the experts that's on those websites. Talk to whoever you normally talk to. So if you normally talk to your GP, your therapist, your counselor, whoever it is who normally supports you, keep connected, maybe a bit of extra connection, a few more, you know, consultations or discussions, even if they have to be done, you know, remotely. That's absolutely fine. Everybody's doing that at the moment. But I think the key is not to let it slide and just get worse and worse sort of gradually, because it's so much harder to come back from if you've, you know, let things go. So if you're aware there's an issue, that's fantastic. Do something about it. Connect with the people who normally help you if you have someone. If not, then talk to your GP, and look at the specialist websites that have whole sections really beautifully laid out at the moment around this topic.
Yeah, I hear a lot of young people at the moment really struggling with food, and yeah, it's a real struggle, isn't it, for people at the moment? Just that, I guess some of it also comes back into routine as well, about when you normally would have ate, and the people you would have ate with. So yeah, I think it's one of the things that really it's been highlighted as an area that people are struggling with during this lockdown.
Very much so, and quite possibly might be an ongoing issue even when the lockdown slows down and stops and we get back to some sort of normality. That's one area that people have recognized, such a same like obsessive compulsive as well, that there may be ongoing issues. That's why I'm sort of saying don't let it slide, you know, stick with, as you said, absolutely right, stick with your structure and your routine as much as you can, but if you need a bit of extra support, ask for it now.
Yeah, brilliant, thank you. So those are two quite big subjects: suicidal thoughts and eating disorders. So any more questions around them, please do ask. We sort of got 10 minutes left. I'm just going to check my little order of questions because I've jumped around a bit now. So I've got a question, again, another question from a young person, slightly different angle. So this one is a young person saying their parents are making them feel awful and it's really impacting their self-esteem. What do they do?
Oh gosh, well, I am sorry to hear that. Self-esteem is such a crucial part of our identity, and we need to have the confidence to, you know, be ourselves, to say what we think, to do the things we want to do. So really important to address that, and again, not ignore it. Obviously, self-esteem issues can come over us in various different ways. Obviously the source and who's undermining us or where it comes from can be a whole variety of things, and I'm really sorry to hear it's your parents, but the things to do, the things that you can do, is take back a little bit of control over that. So there are techniques you can do. So you could start by writing down 4 or 5 things that you know you're good at. What are you confident about doing? And, you know, I mean, it can be a whole variety of things. It doesn't have to, you don't have to be a rocket scientist. You know, you might say, look, I make a really good chocolate cake. I'm fantastic at doing keepy uppies. I can put together a really cool outfit for when I go out. I know cool's probably not the right word these days, but the point is you make a note of what you can do, what you're great at, and what you know you're confident at, and just add to it every now and again. If you think of something, have a running list and put it somewhere you can see it, so you can remind yourself, you know, on your phone or wherever, but keep reminding yourself. So that's important. So that's about a practical list. And then surround yourself elsewhere with people who are positive for you, who tell you that you're, you know, a great fun person to be with, or that you have, you know, a cute smile, or whatever it is, but that boost your self-confidence. So surround yourself elsewhere with those people. And that might be in real life, so you might be able to go out and meet them 2 meters apart and chat with them, or you might have to do that online or through social media. But those people are, you need positive people, you need positive thoughts to counteract the negative thoughts, and you need to just keep working and reviewing that, because it is a constant thing. If you're living with negativity like that, you're going to have to challenge that, even if it isn't directly to them, because that might be confrontational. If you feel confident to do that and it's safe, please do. But otherwise, do it for yourself and just kind of try and break that cycle a little bit. And, you know, you could do things like set yourself a little goal. Like you might say, okay, I'm going to do a little exercise goal, or I'm going to learn, you know, like you said, speak a language, or I'm going to do something. And when you achieve that goal, you're going to feel great. And it might take weeks, it might take months. It doesn't matter. It's yours, and it's yours to achieve. So it's all about replacing that negativity with some positivity, but it will take a bit of effort, but it's absolutely worth it.
Brilliant. That's a fantastic advice. So write down what you're good at, try and surround yourself with people that make you feel good,
absolutely,
and then set a goal. Fantastic advice. Resilience Lab also has some tips around dealing with negative thoughts, and using your strengths. So that's something that Off the Record offers. It's called Resilience Lab, that may be also helpful.
Brilliant.
Okay, we've got 5 minutes left. So if anybody does have any questions, please do send them now. It goes quick, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does. I've never done this before, so
you're doing fantastic. So I guess, so there's 2 other things that's not necessarily questions that's come from young people, but I think it's worth mentioning. Is one is about how to deal with the world at the moment. The world feels very, I don't know, angry. So one of my questions will be how to deal with that. And then the other question is around, which sort of links, but how to manage uncertainty as we come out of lockdown. So if you've got any advice on those 2, and then we have got a question that's just come in as well.
Okay, so I mean, gosh, the world is complicated right now, and I cannot, you know, give you all the answers. Of course, no one can, but I do have 2 techniques, things that I do that I would advise might be helpful. So if it's about difficult topics, you know, if we're talking about racism or people's behaviors or all of that sort of thing, and stuff like that comes up, a generally good suggestion or a generally good thing to do is to educate yourself about it, feel comfortable in what your knowledge is, and then, you know, feel that you are confident in your beliefs, your thoughts. You know, only you can control what you think, how you express yourself. And there is something really powerful about learning about difficult topics and then standing up for whatever your beliefs are, or whatever you want to say about it. So I think education is a really important part of retaining control over difficult situations, whatever they are. And similarly, with the uncertainty that comes with, say, the lockdown, coronavirus, again, I come back to the uncertainty. There's so much of it. We're never going to be in charge of all of that. So plan what you can, take back control over the bits that you can. And that might just be what you're going to eat that day and where you're going to go and who you're going to talk to. But you're in charge of that. No one else can, you know, take that bit away. So I think it's really important to educate yourself where there are difficult topics, be in control, you know, of the knowledge that you have, you know, read widely, be connected widely, and so on, and question things. So I think those are important ways to deal with politics and uncertainty and an angry world right now. Then the other question was about leaving lockdown. How do we prepare for that? Well, you're right. I mean, there is going to be some adaptation. You know, we had to very quickly adapt and suddenly change our lives. And we can sort of see, oh, we've eased lockdown, or we haven't, or we're shielded, or we're still at home, or, you know, it's complicated right now. So think about the things that might stress you out, you know, in maybe 3 or plus months time. What is it that you're going to be feeling more worried about, and start to plan for those now? So, you know, going on public transport, or going back to work, or people greeting you, you know, safe distances, and start thinking, well, what can I do? Again, so I can wear a mask, which will be important. I can tell people in advance, like, I'm going to meet so-and-so, I'm going to a work meeting. I will be using the namaste greeting. I will not be touching people. You know, you can say it nicely. You can let people know. We'll be observing the 2-meter distance. You know, if you plan it in advance, if you think about the things that are going to stress you out, and try and plan for those bits as much as we can in a world where we don't know how things will be exactly, at least we can retain, again, it's about retaining the control over the bits that are difficult for us, because, you know, because we've all become a bit institutionalized here at home, and we're in our little routines, and the idea of going further than, I don't know, walk around the park, whatever, gets a bit scary. And you suddenly think, okay, so what is it that worries me about that, and how do I prepare? Do I start making my walks a bit further? Do I go cycling further? Do I get a bus just to practice before I have to actually go anywhere? You know, think about what you can do and ease yourself back into it.
That's brilliant. That's fantastic. So to sort of sum that up, when we're dealing with uncertain times, it's about education, it's about questioning, it's about thinking about what you can control, and then it's also about planning. Yes,
exactly.
Yeah. Brilliant. The comment just here was a really nice comment. It's just someone says, I have low self-esteem, and I managed to help myself by putting positive quotes around my room. I think that's an absolutely fantastic thing to do.
Yeah.
I'm going to share one of my little secrets that I share only normally with my team. I have a quote that I use. So if I'm feeling a bit anxious, or I'm not feeling good about a certain situation that I have to go into, so example, public speaking, I say a little quote to myself, and my quote is more about making me laugh. Your quote could be to make you laugh, to give you confidence. So my quote I use is I look in a mirror and I go, "You're a bit of sexy bacon." And I will say that to myself a couple of times until I chuckle. And that is what I use as a positive sort of boost my self-esteem in situations that I don't,
fantastic. I feel a t-shirt coming on there, Laura.
Don't start. I'm thinking about doing that as my... Me and my baby girl, we have creative Fridays, so there may be a t-shirt made on Friday at this rate.
Lovely.
I just want to say, if we've got somebody joining us today, these lives, I want to encourage other people to join us. So if you've got more sort of advice around how you deal with a situation, or you're an activist, or you want to join me on Monday catch up to talk about off the record and what you're up to, I really encourage, just give us a little message on Instagram. I'll be really keen to get some more people on, different people on our sort of lives to talk about things that's important to you. So if anybody is out there and want to share other advice, just like this person has done, in terms of sort of positive and motivation tips, just give us a little message on Instagram. That sort of brings us to the end of this Q&A. Dr. Thompson, do you want to just say one more thing about your books? Where do we buy them, and where do we hear more about you and sort of your tips?
Thank you. Yeah, just to summarize very quickly, I mean, I'm on all the platforms, so you can look on, you know, Twitter and Facebook and Insta and LinkedIn actually, and there I post things like my Dom in 60 seconds videos, which are just 60 seconds of quick advice. The latest one went out today on all sorts of things, including sleep or self-esteem and so on. Some of them are for parents, some of them are for young people, procrastination, whatever. I do lots and lots of little blogs. I give talks. I've got TEDx talks, 2 TEDx talks. So all of it tends to be on my website, which is buzzconsulting.co.uk, and that's the easy way to find all my books and my TEDx's and everything and my talks. And the little books, just to remind you, they're a whole series, and they are all available in your, you know, via your local indie bookshop or online. And they are for young people aged about 16 to 25, I guess. And they're on anxiety and depression and university and all sorts of things like that. So have a look, see what you think.
Brilliant, fantastic. And as I said, the book about how to grow a grown up, it's one of our favourites. So thank you very much. Thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you.
You completed your first live. You've been absolutely fantastic, and it's been a real pleasure talking to you. I feel like I've got loads of little golden nuggets of information.
Great. Thanks for having me. Okay.
We're going to say goodbye. Thank you. Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Have a good evening.
Thank you.
Oh, it's not ending. It's not ending.